Hello everyone! Here's what's happening inside the greenhouse. The Catasetum Louise Clark Simply Fantastic cross with Catasetum denticulatum is simply fantastic. That's right. It's awesome. Look at the blooms. It's a semi-dark red spotting right there, and it's in full bloom. It just started blooming yesterday and it opened up all of these blooms. Simply fantastic. So there's also this one. This is the Catasetum lovina, and this one is almost out of bloom. Yeah, see, the flowers are not that good looking anymore because it's been in bloom for quite a long time. And this one is actually drying up. You can see right there, all those lines, it's drying up. And it's going to drop its bloom pretty soon. I just finished watering my orchids because it was getting really hot in here. And it's going to be about more than 100 degrees for the next week. So this weekend is going to be really, really hot. My Vanda Pachara Delight is in bloom once again after finishing its bloom, the blooms on its last spike about 2 months ago. So this is the last spike that it had, which spiked not too long ago, and it was done blooming and then it bloomed again. So this is the second time it's bloomed. I bought it when it was like really small, and it was about 3 years from bloom, and bam, 3 years from then I have blooms, and it looks like it's going to be quite fantastic. Look at how awesome the flowers are. So of course this one is a favorite of many orchid growers. I want to show you this one. It's going to be hard to pull it down. Hold on one moment. So this one is the Rodriguesia lanceolata. I got this one from Seattle Orchid, and that was from, I would say, 4 years ago. It's been quite a long time. It was my first year growing orchids. I didn't really know anything about it, honestly, and it suffered in my care. Obviously, it was under a mister in the winter. You should not ever do that. It was like right under the mister in the winter. It got wet for a long period of time and it got rot. And now, after 4 years, it's bloomed for its first time ever with me. The blooms are quite cute. It's adorable. I feel like there's no fragrance, but it's a very small flower. And it cascades down like that. I just mounted this one because all the roots were going crazy inside of its pot. And I think it'll just look great when it's mounted like that. This is a Bulbophyllum division I got from eBay. I think it's Bulbophyllum macrae. But this one is blooming for its first time with me as well, because I got it when it was a division, and I think it had about 2 or 3 bulbs. And I think I killed those bulbs as well. So, but it's blooming right now. It's pretty awesome looking. Ooh, my hands are so dirty from touching that. But yeah, the flowers on this one is also pretty small. And I do like the colors though. I fancy all the pinks and yellows. So I'm thinking I will keep this one. But I was having second thoughts on a lot of my Bulbophyllums because they were just growing, but they weren't really doing much. And they need a lot of water, and definitely in the winter time it can get pretty difficult, especially like say that one, you know, it looks like it's not doing that well. But yeah, like this one I got, this is the Cocoinum. This one is supposed to smell like coconuts, and it's only bloomed once for me, ever. Look at how amazing this plant is. This is the Arita hula tiana. Look at those stripes in there. They're pretty awesome. So this plant was on my wish list for quite a long time, and I think I broke off some of the flowers here when I was moving it around, because usually I bring all my bloomed plants over to the front just so I could admire it when I walk into the house. But I do risk I kind of broke it, but that's okay. It's just still really pretty. There's 2 flower spikes. I got this from a Thai vendor, and I think it was just early this year at the San Francisco Orchid show. I think it was a Thai vendor, and I can't remember the name, but they had really healthy plants. They were all big, and at first I wasn't sure if I was going to get it just because it was a little bit pricey, but for this plant, really, it's not that pricey at all. It's just the right price. So my sister urged me to just get it and stop thinking about it. So I got it, and it was just amazing. It did really well. It didn't take that long to adjust to my environment at all, and it's completely loving it inside the greenhouse already, just 6 months in, and it's blooming. Usually it takes a bit longer for my plants to acclimate. It smells intensely like a mixture of lemon and lavender. There's like a little bit of lavender in there. It's so soothing, and you guys know lavender is used for relieving stress. So when I walk into the greenhouse and I smelled the scent, it was just so nice just to smell it. And it's not completely intense, but you can smell it even from a few feet away. And the flowers are just so beautiful. It's just a really amazing plant. Like, if you guys are into the vindaceous orchids, get this one, because this is just what it's going to look like right now. But I've seen other plants where they're more mature, and oh my gosh, just the flowers cascading down is awesome. It's like the bomb pretty much. So if you guys are into these types of plants, and if you have the right environment for them, I would encourage you to get them, because they're so great. I love smelling it. I wish I could bottle it up or like let you guys smell the plant, because it's really amazing. None of my phal species and hybrids are in bloom. The ones that are mounted are my species, and I think that they are doing fantastic being mounted. I think I was killing a whole bunch of the complex hybrid ones because they just couldn't deal with the cold temperatures, and also they rot really easily, especially the crown rot. The crown rot really did them in. So I think that mounting them is just a great way to make sure that they don't get crown rot, because all their water are going to drip down. And look at these roots that are attaching themselves to the wood. Look how awesome they are. And this one was just recently mounted. I wanted to mount it before I kill it, of course. And this one, all those roots are just going crazy. Like right here, this one's doing, the gigantea actually put out all those roots that are attaching to the wood. This one has the most amount of roots. Like, this one grows pretty crazy. Look at all those roots that are growing out. And unfortunately, this one is just going rogue. It's wanting to attach itself to that plant. But overall, I think like this one I just mounted because I keep on forgetting to water it. But overall, like, they're just doing really well mounted. So I think from now on, if I ever buy a phal species or even a complex hybrid that I really like, I'm going to mount them, because they just do so much better being mounted, and I don't have to worry about crown rot or anything like that, and they simply love it. The Stanhopea tigrina is actually doing really well. So what happened was I had it in a smaller basket, and unfortunately it had about 10 blooms on it, and I moved it to a bigger pot because it was sitting on the floor. So I moved it to a bigger pot or a bigger basket so I could hang it, and unfortunately I broke off all the flowers. But these spiked after I moved it, and it's still trying to get through to the bottom part. So this flower is actually kind of stuck right here because the spike is really short, and I guess with the way it is, I think I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this one. I might not even put it in a basket. I might just hang it, like tie ropes around it and make it into a ball and then hang it. I think that might be the best because the flower spike that are spiking all the way at the top here are not getting through all the way down to the bottom. But it smells really wonderful. It's very fragrant. And it definitely smells way better than this stinky Stanhopea. This one is about to drop, so the blooms are kind of dead right here. So those are fly eggs in there. That's actually kind of gross, but I just try not to think about it too much. My plant is doing really wonderful. It's so huge, and I got this one from Mouse Lily channel. Yeah, so this one is kind of like dragged down by the flower. It stinks, but it's not like super intense. It just stinks. Ooh, and I have some cilantro, not cilantro, but cilantro. This one is an herb used in a lot of Asian and Mexican cuisine, or Latin cuisine, and it's doing pretty great. I grew them from seed because there's just kind of like no way to really get it around here. I've tried to grow them from other people's plants, but I think when they were potting it for me, there were slugs in it, and they love this plant. Snails and slugs love this plant. So I grew it from seed in my own soil that I made sure there were just no bugs in it whatsoever. I covered it up with that lid right there. And I grew it like that with high humidity for months before they sprouted, and they were able to grow to this big. So about like 6 months, just so they could grow to this big. And I'm hoping that they're going to survive the winter. I'm gonna have it in my greenhouse, and my greenhouse is gonna have a heater on, but I don't really know. I hope so, because they're not big enough to eat yet. So over here are my my seedlings, and I killed quite a bit of them, but it's okay. The damage is not as big as the ones that are alive, so I have quite a bit that are still alive and doing really well. The Lotigicii, the Cattleyas, these are doing wonderful. They're getting really, really big, and I have some that are really big compared to, like, say, you know, this size or even smaller when they came to me, and now they're pretty big. So I think they will bloom in about 2 or 3 years, probably 3 years. My Neophonetia falcata, they're not doing too well. I think I just don't do well with the Neophonetia altogether, so I'm not going to even grow them. And I have a lot of plants that are growing really well, but they're not blooming right now, so I don't know if it's because it's not their season or what, but usually I find that my plants bloom mostly in the spring and the fall, so hopefully they will bloom in the fall, hopefully. My Elsie Leuctone is amazing. Look at this. Bam! 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 flowers on one flower spike. This was a rescue, so I got this one at a discount. It was like a tent sale, and I haven't gone to it in a long time because there's just a lady there who's always there like an hour early, and she picks the best plants. But she actually left me this because it, I don't know, like I guess she just didn't like it or something, but it's awesome. Well, I got it when it wasn't in bloom, so I didn't know what it looked like, but it's still pretty awesome. It's got this tiny spotting on the petals and the magenta lip. It looks great, and it smells wonderful too. It's very lightly fragrant. Really one of my favorites. All of my Dendrobium phalaenopsis are doing extremely well. These guys, I think, are the ones that do the best in my environment, and I have them on the top shelf because they're tall, and this one has the most space, but also because they love the light. So I have some flowers that are ready, finished blooming, unfortunately, and they're kind of hard because I'm really short, so I have a hard time reaching these guys anyway, but I always look up and admire just how pretty they are. Look at all the blooms on it. This is a Cattleya, but those Dendrobium phalaenopsis are doing really, really well. I totally dig them. They are so easy to care for. I just water them every time I water my orchids. They can withstand drought. You know, they're drought tolerant, obviously. I can water them like once a week and they'll still be okay, or every day and they'll still be okay. So overall, they're just so easy to care for. There's really nothing to them except that they want high light, and that's it. I mean, it's just extremely easy to take care of them. So one of my viewers actually suggested that I look into this plant, Edithcolia grandis, and I looked it up and the flower was pretty awesome, and it's totally something that I would be interested in. So I was able to find one online, and it was sold as a plant, not as a cutting, and you can see that it's pretty big. I've had it for about 2 months now, so the plant has grown quite a bit as well. So I think this one's going to be pretty great, and I'm hoping for flowers pretty soon. The vanilla cutting I got more than a year ago, I would say. I think more than a year ago, is doing really great. So initially I had it in water, just water, in a small pot, and it wasn't doing that great. It did put out a lot of roots, but it wasn't really growing. So I made this awesome like growing pole for it with sphagnum moss, and I wrapped it around the piece of wood. And then down under is just a lot of bark, different size of bark, big ones, small chunks, and so forth. And it grew so much. So look at these roots right here. That's after I repotted into a bigger pot with the pole, and it's grown all of that all the way there, and it's only been a few months. So this plant just loves to be climbing up the pole pretty much, and all those roots came out within 1 month of getting onto this pole. So these guys just totally dig the bark and the pole. They love to pole dance. Okay, so last but not least, I want to show you guys the Plumeria. And my mom's Plumerias are those big ones, those blue pots right there. Hers are doing really great because she initially potted them in a big pot, and she has 2 green thumbs. I have not 2 green thumbs, definitely. So mine are in a smaller pot. So you can see my 2 that I put kind of right next to each other. I killed some of them in the winter, I have to say, because, you know, I have brown thumbs. But they are doing really wonderful now in the summer, and they drop most of their leaves. It's like I can't even reach that leaf. That's mine, the small one, and that's my mom's, the big one. They're getting to be pretty big, so I'm gonna have to find a way to make space, make room for them. But they are really prone to getting bugs, especially spider mites. I have known other people who grow them as well, and there are just a ton of spider mites. Like, there was one time during the summer where I just didn't really, I was kind of down and I didn't really go check on my greenhouse, and they are just prone to bugs. So there's like mealybugs, and spider mites are their like #1 fan. They just love it, and I have to go out here and spray them all the time. But usually what I do is I spray my orchids with alcohol, which is really, really effective against killing them. It's like kills them instantly. But these guys, I can't do that because they will fry with any sort of alcohol. Even if it's just like a drop of alcohol, they fry. The leaves just fry and they look disgusting and they don't work anymore. So I have to look below the leaves and then spray them with a neem solution, which I find isn't as effective against the mealybugs as alcohol is. But unfortunately, I have to do that all the time, and I don't really want to use chemicals in my greenhouse, although sometimes I do, especially if it's like this. Like, one of the most effective way and safest way is to just kill them with your bare hands. But I don't like squishing bugs with my bare hands, so it just feels kind of weird when they're, you know, like their poor little souls is crushed under your hands. But anyway, yeah, so I have to kind of keep up with these guys. Like every single week I have to go out and see and check them for any sort of bugs. So like this one, you can see a little spider mite damage. I've sprayed this one with neem oil already, so it hasn't spread and the spider mites are dead. Like this one had the most, so when I saw it, I sprayed it right away. But yeah, the Plumerias are really, really prone to getting bugs, and the spider mites are their #1 fan, and the mealybugs are their #2 fan. So they're always there no matter what I do. So I think that is it in terms of what's happening. That's, you know, really great to talk about. I mean, mostly you just see green, not a lot of flowers, but I'm hoping in the fall there'll be flowers. So I will check up with you guys back when I have more flowers to show.